Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you. After the bishop, but here we are. Well, let's talk about our readings today, because it's really about the calling of the people, and it's really about ministry. And you and I, in our common era, we really struggle with what ministry means and what that looks like, and especially in those denominations that are very clergy-centric. I know St. Anne's isn't terribly clergy-centric. I've spent 10 years letting you know how human I am. But the Episcopal Church is, in fact, Episcopal means has bishops, right? That's what the episcopate means. So denominations that are pretty clergy-centric, we really struggle with what ministry means, because for a lot of folks, the idea is, well, we pay the money and the clergy do that, right? Yeah, that's the clergy person's job. That's why we have priests and deacons to go do ministry for us. And we come on Sunday. If we're lucky, I mean, a lot of us are like Christmas and Easter kind of people. But then we give our money, they do the thing, and they do the blessing thing, and we're good. We die, we go to heaven. We're good? We're good, right? But that's not what ministry is. So church is really, I think of it as kind of a gas station, if you will. It's where you go to get fed and regenerate, ready to go do the actual work of ministry. Ministry is not what happens here. It's what happens out there. Sunday is about us being equipped to do ministry there, right? And I think it's really important as we do this, because we get the sense in our readings today that we get kind of cliquish, right? It's okay. The Episcopal Church did not invent cliques. We were doing that for a long time. And so Paul really struggles with that. And I'm just going to go through Paul's words kind of in the Meg version. So y'all messed up. Y'all really messed up. And we got to work on that. That's usually what the letters, have I kind of explained how Paul works to y'all? So Paul works this way. Paul shows up in town. He does some rallying. He gets the troops going. He sets up some churches, and he moves on. And then he gets a letter from the people in the churches, and they're like, oh my God, Paul, these people, they're complaining about each other. They're not doing ministry right. They're arguing all the time. I know, kind of like, like churches do. I mean, not here. We don't do that here. But in fact, to the degree that the bishop leaned over to me last Sunday, and she was like, your church really likes each other. They do. They do. And so Paul was like, oh God, okay. So I'm going to write a letter, tell y'all how to get it together. So he writes a letter, and he says, y'all messed up. In the name of Paul, love you, I really do, but y'all messed up, let's get it together. Sends the letter, and then we hope that, we figure ourselves out. In the same way that sometimes bishops do visitations, and they say, did you know that bishops talk to us before they come? And they say, is there anything that you need me to deal with while I'm there? No, but if we do have something, they'll come in and they'll deal with it for us. And then they leave. It's like Paul. Bishops are like Paul. Anyway, and so Jesus, we get the story of Jesus post his baptism, where he's wandering around, really kind of building up his following in his church, right? And the same issue can occur, that we start to have these cliques, right? Paul is dealing with cliques. I'm a follower of this group. I'm a follower of this group. I'm a Lutheran, but I'm a Missouri Synod Lutheran, and I'm a Wisconsin Synod Lutheran. Did you know that there were Wisconsin ones? And I'm an ELCA one, And then, like, we got Roman Catholics and Episcopalians. Well, I'm pre-Vatican II. I'm a Latin Mass kind of person. I'm a women cover your hair kind of person. And Episcopalians do that too. I'm a high church Episcopalian. I'm a low church Episcopalian. I'm an open table one. I'm a you gotta be baptized one. We have all these little cliques, none of which represent ministry. Absolutely none of which represent ministry. But we get confused by what ministry means, don't we? We think ministry is a clique. It's my peeps, the peeps I hang out with. And so Jesus is going around and he's kind of bringing his group together. And you'll notice that this first group is fishermen. And then as he's going to travel around, he's going to find some different ones. And he's going to struggle with the same thing that Paul struggles with, the cliques versus ministry. And the assumption that our clique is our ministry, which is what you and I struggle with. And I'm going to say something that I think is mildly controversial. There is nothing wrong with you having a church where you have people who are like-minded, who you feel supported by, who you might agree with on all things. Now, I don't agree with us agreeing on everything. And in fact, to the degree that when the bishop spoke with me last week, and she said, your church really likes each other, and I said, yeah, they really do. They don't agree on much, except that Meg's crazy. We're all agreed on that. But there's this core sense of what we're here for. And I think that's what it's really about. What do we rally around? And I think it's okay to have different denominations. And I think it's okay to have different churches because you've got to have a place where you feel like you can rally around that point. Does that make sense? Now, I would love to tell you that St. Anne's is the perfect church for everybody. I would love to tell you that the Episcopal Church is the perfect church for everybody. I'd love to tell you Christianity is the perfect religion for everybody, but it isn't. God created how many different people? God created how many different ways to communicate to each of those people. However, there is one ministry, and that's what's important. While we have our cliques and our groups, we have one ministry. The Roman Catholics, the Buddhists, Muslims, Lutherans, Episcopalians, we all have Baptists. Oh my God, Baptists, even the Missouri ones. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm joking. I love Baptists. I really do. God, they're good preachers. Have you heard a Baptist preach? My goodness. Anyway, we all have one ministry. Love. That's it. It's that simple. Love. That is all ministry is. And while we like each other a lot, don't we? And while when we come here, we feel supported and cared about and prepared for the rest of our lives out there, because I'm going to tell you real honestly, out there is tough. Out there is tough. In here, I hope isn't too tough. I hope when you're here, you feel loved, connected, supported, empowered. That is what it is about. We are a family, and that's what we're about. But this isn't ministry. This isn't ministry. Ministry is what we're going to do when we go out there. And that's what Jesus has to remind them again and again and again. Ministry is what we're going to do when we get out there. And Jesus is going to explain it in lots of different ways, because this group, they're fishermen. So what language does Jesus use? I'm going to call you to be fishers of people. And when Jesus is talking to the Pharisees, Jesus will use Pharisaic language. When Jesus is talking to the tax collectors, Jesus will use that type of language too. When God comes to you and calls you to ministry, God will come in your language. God will speak to you in a way that speaks to you. It may not be the same as mine. It's probably not going to be the same as folks in the Middle East. It may not be the same as folks in Asia. It may not be the same as other areas of Missouri. It's going to be unique to you. And that's a good thing. God speaks to you. We got to listen. There's that tricky part. But when it comes to ministry, we are all equipped to do it in different ways. So I can say to you, ministry should look like this. When you're doing ministry, you should be doing this. I'd be wrong, because ministry isn't how I define it. My ministry looks one way. Your ministry looks another way. Other clergy people, their ministry looks a different way. And guess what? That's all okay. Because guess what? This is a big world, and it needs a whole lot of love. It needs a whole lot of love. And that's what you and I are called to do in our ministry. We are called to love. And I don't know what that looks like for you, but in your setting, when you go out, what does it look like to proclaim love? Love that is so ridiculous the world doesn't know what to do with it. The world is going to reject it, and yet it needs to hear it, doesn't it? Our world needs to hear love. It really needs to hear love. And in your life, people around you need to see and experience love. They do. And whatever your setting is, whether it be your family members, whether it be your coworkers, whether it be the person in the grocery store aisle, whatever it looks like, people, even the other football teams. My daughter yesterday was like, she's like, how do you think those other football players feel? And I was like, probably fine, because they all made about 30 grand today. But I wasn't that compassionate, but I'm more worried about the ankle of our quarterback than anything. But our world needs to see and experience love. I invite you to reflect on your ministry. In this space that is not ministry itself, but is about empowering you and equipping you to do ministry out there, take your time today. Think about it. Really pray about it. What is your ministry? What does it look like for you? What does it look like in the world around you? Because today, guess what? You get to chill out today. Because everybody here loves you. Everybody here supports you. Everybody here cares about you. And we're going to have coffee hour, which is going to be delicious. So ease into it, because tomorrow ministry is coming for you.
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.